Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Mr. Bad, and welcome to the next lesson from Live for God Ministries. Now, this is the second part of our multi-part lesson based on anger, because anger is a very strong emotion that can lead you down the wrong path if you're angry for the wrong reasons. Now, this week, the first part of this week's lesson is on reflecting before you respond in anger. Now, start off, Proverbs 29:11 says, "A rebel shouts in anger, a wise man holds his temper in and cools it." When you're angry, don't respond impulsively. Delay is a good tool in controlling anger. I'm not saying delay indefinitely or even beyond a day. The Bible says don't go to sleep when you're angry. I'm talking about delaying it for 5 minutes. When you start to get ticked off, you take time out for a few minutes. Give yourself some time to stop, reflect, and think it through. If you don't stop and think, you're likely to do the wrong thing. You need to reflect before you respond. When we get angry, we need to get in the habit of stepping back, waiting a few minutes, and looking at the situation from God's point of view. Notice the Bible says a wise man lets his anger cool down. So cool it is a biblical term. A modern translation might be, the wise man waits and chills out. Thomas Jefferson, the author of the Declaration of Independence, said, "When angry, count to 10 before you speak. If very angry, count to 100. Excuse me. While you're cooling down, ask yourself 3 questions to help you understand why you're angry. 1, why am I angry? 2, what do I really want? And 3, how can I get it? Understanding the reason for your anger will give you greater patience and perhaps even the ability to overlook an offense." Now, the second part of this particular lesson this week is on releasing your anger appropriately. Now, from this part, we'll start off with Ephesians 4:26. "If you become angry, do not let your anger lead you into sin." There are helpful ways and harmful ways to release your anger. For instance, sometimes we'd rather remain angry than admit to our anger. Yet the Bible says that to be angry and not admit that you are angry is lying, and that's a sin. Keep in mind, anger is not necessarily wrong. It only becomes wrong if we release it in a way that is inappropriate or destructive. My experience is that most of us learned to express our anger when we were 2 or 3 years old, and we're still expressing our anger in the exact same way as adults. Needless to say, this simply does not work. Most people express their anger in such a way that they end up farther away from their goal than they were before they became angry. Anger expressed inappropriately has the opposite effect of producing the intended results. Remember that. Blowing up at people never produces a lasting change. It only produces more anger and alienation. We know that, but we still do it. It doesn't produce lasting change. Something to keep in mind is that anger is never really the root problem. It is usually a symptom that reveals one of 3 things is happening: hurt, fear, or frustration. These are the 3 things that make us angry, and this is why we should always stop and cool down. It allows us to think. Am I hurt? Am I afraid? Perhaps feeling threatened, or that I'm going to lose something of value? Or am I frustrated? Understanding the source of your anger will help you respond in an appropriate manner so that your anger does not lead you into sin. Alright, now that's the end of this week's lesson on anger. We're going to have another week, maybe 2 weeks, of lessons based on anger. But before we close this week's lesson, I've got one more thing I have to say. God's pressed it upon my heart. In our other video section, you will find an 8-part series based on the end times prophecy in the book of Revelations. Now, if you haven't looked at it yet, please look at it. Trust me, it's a necessity. It really is to watch that. It really makes you think. It even made me think. So, but what I wanted to tell you all is the end times are here. I mean, we're seeing the beginning signs of the end times right now as we speak. And what I wanted to warn you ahead of time, and you'll see this in these videos, those of you out there that are true Christians and are faithful to the Lord, please watch out, because when the Antichrist makes his appearance, he's going to try and deceive each and every one of you into believing that he is Jesus returned for his people. Don't fall for it, okay? Because it actually says in the Bible that he will deceive some of the faithful into believing that he is actually Jesus, and they will start to follow him. Don't do it. Don't fall for it. If you see it all over TV that Jesus has appeared in different parts of the world, don't believe it. Because Jesus does not come until after the Antichrist. So the first time you hear about Jesus appearing to people, it's the Antichrist. So please, I'm begging you all, please, and I'm praying for each and every one of you, don't fall for the deception of the Antichrist when he does show up. Okay. I know it's kind of a disturbing note to end the lesson on, but it's something very important that you all need to think about. But alright, I'll see you all next week with the next part of our lesson on anger. God bless you all.